Sends memos, frankly, gleefully echoing the phony, the false talking point that Trump committed felonies. Well, he didn't. Take a look.
In a lot of ways, it cannot be underscored that these memos really aren't about Cohen. I mean, they are about Cohen, but they really point to the president in a way we haven't seen before.
This is the first time that federal prosecutors are accusing the president of the United States of having directed a crime.
I'm willing to bet that there is good evidence that Trump had the requisite intent to commit this crime as well.
Michael Cohen's 2 campaign finance felonies were directed by a person named as Individual 1. That person is Donald Trump. That means that Donald Trump also committed 2 felonies.
The Department of Justice today, in the most explicit terms, said the President of the United States committed 2 felonies. Just said it right, came out and said it. The Department of Justice today, in the most explicit terms, said the President of the United States committed 2 felonies.
Now, the Hill's media reporter Joe Concha and American First Action senior advisor Sean Spicer. You know, what they're forgetting is Michael for a long time said that he did it without anybody's knowledge, Sean, and they did it on his own with an entity he created and didn't tell the president, and only later the president found out and paid the money back, which, by the way, the president, as Greg Jarrett and Larry Elder have analyzed tonight, would be perfectly able to do with his own funds, which is what ultimately he did pay him back. So what they're saying here is they want to believe one version of Michael Cohen that fits their narrative, but not remind people of the other narrative of Michael Cohen. Which one do you believe?
Well, not only that, but if you read the complaint, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, they talk about Michael Cohen's taxi medallions, failure to pay taxes, a bunch of things that have nothing to do with Russia, nothing to do with collusion, and nothing to do with this campaign. And then you see some of these reporters say in the clips that you just showed that the Department of Justice said the following. It said nothing of the sort. And yet, to your point in your opening monologue, these reporters are so fixed on going after this president, they will literally make stuff up. It amazes me, for as much as they despise the term fake news, the clips that you just showed the lengths to which they will go to make things up and attack and undermine this president.
You know, Joe, I mean, in this, they go through a litany of crimes. They say that Michael Cohen should have substantial jail time. Talked about a side of Michael Cohen that his friends did not know about. Then they get to this part, and they take the version that is most recent about, well, at the behest of Donald Trump, he did these things, that the president was asking him to commit crimes, which is very different from what he originally claimed. Who should they believe?
Well, we don't know, right? I think ultimately, Sean, the theme here from the very beginning has been the question of, did Donald Trump and campaign associates collude with Russian officials to change the outcome of the 2016 election? And if you don't connect that dot in the court of public opinion, nobody cares about this other stuff. And I have precedent on this. We all have it. It's just a matter of remembering it. Remember, during the 90s, Bill Clinton wasn't being investigated for his affair with Monica Lewinsky. It just kind of creeped in that direction. And then when he committed perjury about that affair, and then he was impeached over it, and obviously he wasn't removed from office, he needed two-thirds of the Senate.
Just to be clear, that was about the Paula Jones lawsuit. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So it ends up being another thing altogether. And when that happened, Bill Clinton's approval shot up to 73% in Gallup. In other words, if Democrats overreach here and the media overreaches here on things that aren't collusion, no one's going to care. It's almost irrelevant. I understand their crimes, but unless it's the big thing that this thing has been based on from the very beginning, it doesn't matter.
It was a very different story, Sean Spicer. And then they list a litany of crimes, and I feel sorry for Michael and Paul Manafort. These are human beings with families and lives here, and they want to believe the side that fits their narrative, not the fact that, oh, they say he did all these horrible things, but I'm going to believe this one thing that he said here, not that contradicts what he previously had said.
Well, right. I mean, there's two things that I think are important here. Number one, when you read both of the documents that the DOJ has put out tonight, both with respect to Manafort and with respect to Cohen, the underlying principle in both is that they lied. They didn't tell the truth. That's what they got busted for. And you made the point earlier in the show. Don't lie. Don't cheat on your taxes. File the forms correctly.
Yeah, and
but
don't
that's
lie
what
on
this
loan
is about.
application.
They didn't belong. And that's what they're getting busted for. This has nothing to do with the president.
All right.
Now, people are defending the Mueller probe by arguing, well, he's gotten about 8 or 9 convictions so far. Well, if the definition of a good special counsel probe is how many convictions you get, then the Clinton-Whitewater probe was a home run, a grand slam. They got 14 convictions, including the then sitting governor of Arkansas. And those convictions, Sean, had to do with the underlying purpose of the investigation, which was an alleged crooked real estate deal. These convictions that Mueller has gotten so far has nothing whatever to do with collusion or conspiracy or coordination by Donald Trump. So it's a whole thing
Let me
has
ask
been
you a legal
weaponized against
question.
President Trump.
Because people forget that you're a lawyer. I do not forget my friends that are lawyers. I might need them one day. But this is important. Greg Jarrett talked about this. Yeah. So I watched some of the media tonight, and they're claiming campaign finance violations. Number one, Greg Jarrett rightly points out it would be civil in nature. Number two, Michael Cohen's original story was that he did this without the knowledge of Donald Trump, on his own, with his own money. Acting in a way he thought, as his personal attorney, that his client would want him to act. Donald Trump did pay him back the money, and so on and so forth. But as Greg pointed out, it's civil, A. B, the president has the ability to spend there's no limit to the amount of money he could spend as a candidate running for that office.
Yeah.
How is that a crime?
Well, that's what I agree with his analysis. Look, it's not a crime. What did Bill Clinton say? Everybody lies about sex. The idea that Donald Trump would not want people to know about his relationships is no surprise. Is it a crime? No, it is not a crime.
Last word, Doug.
What I would say is, if anything happened to Donald Trump after the Access Hollywood tape came out, his vote went up. So figure that into your equation.
I don't know how to interpret that.